What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 43, episode 2, a 90-minute episode. So exciting. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa. This is the second episode of the season of Survivor, and I feel like it was a good episode. I don't know about you, Rachel, but I feel like this wasn't as strong as the premiere, just because we didn't hear from as many people. But it was still like a pretty solid episode.
I liked the episode. This 90 minutes, I liked it. The pacing felt good. It was like a lot of stuff happening, and we got to hear from more people, hear more stories. So I liked the longer episodes. Maybe we'll see more 90-minute episodes for US Survivor in the future, but with the longer episode, it does make it bad for rewatching it because I was like, "Oh my gosh, usually with a 42-minute episode on the rewatch, you can get through it quickly. 90-minute episode on a rewatch, it's a lot of time."
It is a lot of time, so I feel like even with the 90-minute episode, we didn't get as much from one of the tribes. I always forget the tribe colors, but one of the tribes we didn't get as much of. So
I feel like the Blue Tribe we
that
didn't
would be the
hear much
one.
of, especially like Cassidy and Lindsay. I feel like those two got zero confessionals, and they're the only oh, there's three people with zero: Cassidy, James, and Lindsay. Those three people on the blue team all had zero confessionals, and those were the only people that had zero this whole episode.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say I at least remember James's face, but do I? I don't think so. So that's a yikes from me. But I feel like especially this early in the season, like it's important to have people there so that everyone doesn't just forget that they exist. So
Yeah, but speaking of confessionals, for episode 2, Cody had 12 and Jesse had 12. So that is literally so many. And then you compare it to like Cassidy, Lindsay, James with 0. Sure, you can say, Cody and Jesse's tribe went to tribal council. Makes sense. But 12 to 0, that is insane.
yeah, yeah, yeah. 12-0 is crazy.
So this episode 2 was called Lovable Curmudgeon. This is from what Owen said when he was walking to the water well. But I feel like they should have named it Pineapple Zone after what Jesse said when he was talking about him and his wife have a pineapple zone. Lovable Curmudgeon. That tribe didn't even go to tribal. I feel like Pineapple Zone was the winner here.
Yeah, I feel like Pineapple Zone also like was more relevant to the rest of the episode. So
Yeah, exactly. So, with this episode, we see lots of camp life. We get a lot of personal story content. Some of the stories we see Dwight, he's talking about how he interviewed a lot of political figures growing up. We knew that preseason from his preseason interviews. We see Gio and Ryan bonding more. Gio talking more about his sexuality, coming out to his parents, and then not being accepted by his parents. So I thought this segment, it was such a strong and powerful story and segment, and definitely very relatable for a lot of youth today.
yeah, it was really sad too because I think
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of people have this idea that like, oh, your parents are supposed to be like your biggest supporters. They're supposed to be the ones who love you unconditionally. So it's just really sad to hear that like Gio didn't get that. So
Exactly. And hopefully it's probably super inspiring for other kids watching the show, especially if they're going through something like that. Because, like Gio did say, LGBTQ plus youth, they have a high rate of suicide, depression. So I think it's a really good thing that they shared his story. And I'm glad that he is open and sharing it. And it seems like going off of what he and Carla were talking about last week.
mhm. So I think it's interesting that Geo's content so far has been like very personal and not super strategic. That probably means that he's not like got good winner chances, but I feel like he does go pretty deep and like we'll be hearing more about his personal story.
I like the Gio Ryan friendship, brothership there. Their bonding is pretty cute to see. Another
Mhm.
segment we see was Cody talking about his friend who passed away from cancer and his life mentality. I liked this segment, honestly. I really admire his mindset about life and like to have his mindset and his perspective on life, and like maybe he won't win the game, but he's going to enjoy every single day out there, every single day of his life. I was like, dang, I really wish I could be more like that in my mindset.
Yeah, I really liked it. I kind of wish that they hadn't used him talking to Nicole to like bring that up, because it kind of made it seem like her story about losing her leg was really only there to like support Cody. And so it's like I feel like there's tons of ways that they could have brought up Cody's story that didn't involve like Noelle just kind of standing there. So
Yeah, I hope we hear from Noelle's perspective about her losing her leg, since we haven't really heard much about that besides the premiere when she was talking with Jeff. But it was like a weird segue there, but I guess it makes sense from the whole like his friend also lost his leg and then lost his life to cancer. And I thought it was cute. We saw that live-in tattoo again, and I was like, okay, maybe I want a tattoo like that. I'm like, Livin, let's go.
you could get like a knuckle tat, have it be Livin. I guess most people don't do thumbs on their knuckle tats, but like you could pioneer that.
You got it, Alyssa. We can do matching.
Sure.
So I really like that segment. Another personal segment we got was from Ellie sharing her school experience, talking about having ADHD and dyslexia, being told that she was dumb by her teachers. I thought this was also a nice segment, and it was interesting because Ellie also got personal content last week when she was talking about the passing of her sister, and now she's also getting this personal content talking about school. So it sort of reminds me of like Omer or Shan's edit when they're going to get this sort of maybe big edit now, but they're not going to make it to the finale. Maybe they'll be like 6th, 7th, or 8th place.
Yeah. I do wonder if it's going to be one of those things where Ellie's like the fallen angel, the like fourth place person. So, I don't know.
Like we said last week, the Ellie villain edit sort of coming back in this episode a little bit. We see Gabler potentially, maybe he's going to have a medevac or quit storyline. Alyssa, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like his age is being emphasized a lot. Like
Mm-hmm.
last time he brought up how he was the oldest person on his tribe. This time he specifically mentioned like, "Oh yeah, I'm 30 years older than everyone else," and I'm kind of like, mm, the vibes are off.
Yeah, I could see a potential medevac or maybe quit storyline. I could see if Yellow loses tribal council or loses and goes to tribal council next week or in the next couple of weeks. Maybe we see Gabler ask to be voted out and he says, yeah, you all, can you vote me out? I won't play the idol, which we've seen before where people are saying, hey, vote me out. I don't want to quit, but vote me out of the game. And if I were there and my alliance members said, vote me out, I would say no. Like, why would you waste a vote to vote out an ally when you're leaving someone who is bad for your game still in the game? I would tell them to quit. Like, we are not wasting a vote to vote you out because you don't want to quit the game.
That's kind of harsh. But also like depending like you don't want your tribe to be smaller than the other tribes. Just because if you have a larger tribe than the other tribes, you get to sit someone out. So I feel like I wouldn't want someone to quit and then also to vote someone out, because that would mean you're losing two people in a day instead of one.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I was like, if I were Jesse and say Dwight wanted to quit and Dwight says, hey, vote me out, if I were Jesse, I'd be like, no, because we want to vote Justine out. We're not going to waste a vote on you. But they could say, okay, if one person quits, you're still going to vote someone out at tribal, but maybe they cancel tribal council, which we've seen in the past because someone leaves medevac or they quit, then they don't go to tribal because it would mess up, the number of days and the number of people left.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't cancel the immediate tribal if that happens, but like find a way to cancel a tribal later on.
Mm-hmm. So it could be a quit or medevac, or maybe this Gabler storyline, he's going to get past this and he's going to get over this hump and he's going to come out super strong post merge. I feel like maybe that could be the case, but also it's more leaning towards something bad is going to happen to him pre-merge.
Yeah. I feel like he's probably something bad is happening. I feel like
Especially
they wouldn't keep mentioning it twice in the first 2 episodes.
yeah, exactly. Especially he sort of got the dodo edit. It seemed like maybe he was going to lose the spear later in the episode because people kept talking about the spear. We see him trying on the spear with his arm and stuff, and then it kept on messing up. So I was like, oh, is he going to go swimming and then lose it? And then people are going to be like, WTF?
I love the fact that he's like, oh yeah, I've done this before, and then as they're walking away, he's like, well, I haven't done this thing specifically. So it's like,
Big yikes. It's a little bit dodo edit here. Later in the episode, we also see Janine going through Gabler's bag. So it seems like next week this is going to be a storyline because in the preview, we see Gabler might potentially be mad that someone went through his bag, which this situation we're talking about is what we said last week because Alyssa and I, we were also confused. Okay, is Gabler's idol 2 tribal councils or is it just like the 2 that Gabler attends? So if it's 2 tribals in general, okay, it expires right now. If it's 2 that Gabler attends, Gabler could basically be safe until merge because unless you go to 3 tribals pre-merge, there's no chance Gabler gets voted out. He's basically safe till merge.
yeah, and I'm glad that someone pointed out that sometimes those wordings can be a little bit ambiguous. I'm kind of annoyed because 2 tribals that you attend, like you said, can be a really long time if your tribe never goes to tribal. And like I guess you could argue like, oh yeah, if his tribe never goes to tribal, that's because like he was part of a strong team or whatever, but also doesn't seem fair.
I agree. I liked Owen's interpretation of just 2 tribals in general. Doesn't need to be you going to tribal, just the first 2, and then it expires. Because then at least you're up for elimination going into another tribal council. But there's no reason, like someone said in the episode, that you would assume Gabler isn't going to play the idol. So he's basically safe. You have to go to 3 in order to even have the chance to vote him out.
Yeah, which or you can like make him feel comfortable enough that he doesn't play it. But like they kind of screwed the pooch on that one because like he didn't play his idol at the first tribal council that they're at, and so like what does he have to gain by not playing it at the second tribal council except for maybe like taking home a cool souvenir?
Exactly. Like it's the one it expires at. You're most likely going to play it. There's no reason not to play it. Even if you feel safe, you might as well just be doubly safe there. And even to try to trick him to get to him to flush the idol and then to vote him out, that's just so risky on a 6-person team. Now, 5-person team, there's just so many things that could go wrong there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I like that the idol expires, but I wish that it had been a set number of tribal councils rather than like a number of tribal councils that specific person attends.
Exactly. A little bit too OP here for Gabler. So we go to the immunity and the reward challenge. It is that you have to get this huge snake to the beach and then you have to solve a puzzle at the end. Jeff says it's a 400-pound snake and they're all soaking wet. I was like, what the heck? That has got to be so darn heavy. I was so nervous for people's safety. You could have got jumped on in the cage. Someone could have fell on your head falling off of the cage. You could have had that 400 plus pounds when wet snake fall on your head. I was like, this is sort of dangerous.
Yeah. Everyone who was like trying to get the snake over the top by like holding on to it, I was like, this could end extremely poorly for you. So, yeah. This is another one of those things where I wish that they like individualized it to the tribe a little more. Like maybe instead of having a 400-pound snake, you have a snake that like weighs as much as like your top 4 tribe members combined or something. Just because I don't know. I feel like it's always a little unfair when there are people who are like obviously more stronger than others when it comes to like brute force things. Like Ryan is not a Jonathan, but he's still like pretty darn like buff. And I feel like I understand that there's a point where it's like, oh, you just like people are going to have different levels of physical skill, but it seems like there is a point also where you should account for that and try to make it at least a little more equal, a little more interesting.
Speaking of Jonathan, I want to see Jonathan in this challenge. Could he just carry that 400-pound snake by himself?
Yeah, I was gonna say he just totally beast modes it by himself.
Yeah, don't even need the four other people on your team. I thought this challenge was also fun seeing Noelle on the sideline. She was cheering so enthusiastically. We see it cut to her a couple of times, just screaming so loud. I was like, good for her. You want her to be your cheerleader on the side here.
You do. But also, like, if I was Noelle, that's a lot of calories to be expending just cheering.
That's true. So we get to the puzzle portion. It is Lindsay and Cassidy for blue, Janine and Ellie for yellow, NECA and Dwight for red. Jeff mentions the puzzle bag for yellow because Owen was holding it, and Jeff says no, the puzzle people have to like take that piece out of the bag. And then we see a really quick shot of NECA throwing the puzzle piece bag down on the ground in the edit. So it shows basically that, oh, maybe they're missing a piece.
Yeah. You would think that you would have multiple people check something like that, though. Especially, like, if you're having a hard time with the puzzle, like, just have someone else check.
Yeah, I guess so. Or even like all the people standing on the mat watching. Wouldn't they notice something on the ground?
You would think, but I guess not. I mean, I guess stress can do weird things to people.
Yeah, so NECA does really, really poorly in the challenge, which, okay, I was like, easy vote. You would vote her out because of the challenge performance and for Tribe's strength. But I thought it was really great for her this episode that she has such a good social game and bond with Cody that Alyssa and I preseason, we thought, okay, NECA will be the first boot, probably from this team. But for her to not be the first boot here and to have these bonds with Cody and Jesse save her, even when she sucked so bad at this challenge, is actually very, very impressive.
I think especially Cody. Like, Cody was her, like, number one, and he was the one who, like, did a lot of work to make sure that she stayed. So I guess part of it is having a good social game, but part of it is also having the right people in your corner.
The good social game led her to pick the good person to have in her corner that has also a good social game to have people in his corner. But I do think no matter how strong NECA and Cody's relationship is, I could see if Red does keep losing, maybe Noelle goes home first. But if it's down to like getting down there with numbers, I think NECA could still be voted out pre-merge just because of the challenge strength.
Yeah, so I guess she'll have to hope that they don't lose any more soon.
Exactly. If they lose two more times, she could go. If it's down to like Jesse, Dwight, Cody, and NECA, would you vote out Dwight first, or would you vote out NECA first? I feel like you'd probably vote her out first, especially you don't know when the merge is coming.
Yeah, I think it would depend. Like, maybe if Dwight is, like, super fanning real hard and people don't trust him. So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. If it's closer to merge, you'd keep her around because she wouldn't win any individual immunities. You would want that going into the merge versus Dwight could win individual immunities and is probably more likely to flip on your team versus NECA would be more loyal to your group. So if Red keeps losing soon, where the merge might be 3 or 4 votes away, then she can go. But I think if she can make it maybe 1 or 2 before merge, before final 13 or 12, then she should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
So the yellow team wins first place, blue team wins second, and then red team is last. There is only one team going to tribal council, so only red is going to have to vote someone out here, not 2 people. We see Jesse and Dwight bonding on the island. I thought we got a lot of very good Jesse content this episode, very similar to last week's episode, a lot of good Jesse content here. He sees that he's the swing vote. He sees Dwight on an island by himself. And so he wants to form a bond with Dwight, which I thought, okay, that is really, really good. That is very smart because a lot of times we see when someone sees and realizes that another person is on the outs, they usually alienate that person where you should be using that person. Dwight doesn't have other places to go. So Jesse realizes that he's going to use that and foster that bond and connection with Dwight to bring him in rather than just like, oh, Dwight has no one. Let's make him the first boot off this tribe.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, especially with these smaller tribes. Like, people are really having to think harder about dynamics. So, yeah.
So Dwight says he doesn't trust Cody. Jesse says Cody is just Cody. He's not that threatening out there. Next week, especially after Jesse does not vote the way Dwight wants to at Tribal Council, could be trouble in paradise next week for Jesse and Dwight's relationship. But Jesse has a vote, Dwight doesn't. Jesse hasn't connected that much with Justine, and so that's why Jesse prefers to vote Justine out. And then they have all this more talk about how they can't trust salespeople, which is funny because I feel like now on Survivor, future seasons, if anyone's a salesperson, they're not going to say they're a salesperson anymore.
I think it's so interesting, though. I feel like Jesse is being set up to maybe be like the person who Cody backstabs, like, really badly. Because Jesse's like, oh, I don't trust salespeople, while, like, in a pretty tight alliance with a salesperson in Cody. So, like, the fact that he kind of isn't doing what Dwight wants, and he's also unknowingly, like, getting into bed with a salesperson, like, that could spell disaster for Jesse.
That's funny. I feel like on this team, we see maybe Jesse is underestimating Cody, just thinking, oh, Cody's out here for a good time, that LIVIN live in, and he's not strategizing. We see something similar on the yellow team where the women, Ellie and Janine, are saying, oh, I don't think the boys, they're not doing anything. And then it cuts to like the guys looking at their feet. But then we see a guys alliance form with Sammy, Gabler, and Owen. So I wonder if there's parallels there between, okay, someone underestimates other people. Are the other people going to actually come back and get one up on the people that were underestimating them?
Yeah, and I think Jesse still has time to, like, realize where he's going wrong in his relationship with Cody. But I feel like if this is kind of a persistent thing where Jesse's like, oh, I'm so glad we got rid of the salesperson, and still continues to, like, be in an alliance with Cody, like, that's kind of undermining him.
And then Cody says, haha, I was a salesperson all along, everyone. Hee hee. That'd just be sort of funny. I'm like, okay, another job to lie about. People already lie about not being a lawyer, not being a doctor, not going to certain schools. So just add salesperson to the list so people have to come up with more lies about their backstory.
Yeah, eventually on Survivor, everyone's, like, going to give such a vague job description, or, like, do what Cody did, where he's like, oh, I work for an elevator company, which doesn't say your job, but does give people the illusion that you said your job.
Yeah, and just say unemployed. Haha. Then you can't like vote me out for anything.
I don't know. There's a lot of, like, stigma around being unemployed, so
Yeah, so lose, I guess. You can't be something that looks too good. You can't be unemployed because then people will judge you. You got to find the happy medium.
yeah.
So Dwight wants Cody out. Jesse wants Justine out. Dwight, after the immunity challenge, maybe wants NECA out because of the challenge performance, but Dwight realizes he doesn't have a vote, so he's more so going to sit back and, I guess, let the cards fall where they do, which maybe isn't the best thing because, okay, even though you don't have a vote, you could have, I guess, maybe fostered a relationship with Cody. I feel like on such a small tribe of only 6 people, there really shouldn't be any reason for you not to get along or fake get along with everyone else on the team, to have someone that you can pick out as they don't I want to vote them out, or maybe they don't like me as much. Maybe you need to foster that relationship more, especially on such a small tribe. Like, even though Jesse didn't like Justine, couldn't build that relationship with her, Justine sort of thought Jesse liked her.
Yeah, it can't be obvious who you don't vibe with.
Mm-hmm. Gotta fake it till you make it. So
Honestly.
Justine and Noelle want to vote NECA out because of the challenge performance. So basically, it's between Justine and NECA at this point.
Yeah. And here's where things get real crazy. Because basically, there's this whole thing where Dwight doesn't have a vote. And so it's going to be a 3-2 vote. Cody and NECA are definitely going to vote together. And then Justine and Noelle are definitely going to vote together. So Jesse's like kind of a swing vote. And it seems like Jesse is like prepared to go with Cody and NECA and vote out Justine. And then Cody is like, I'm going to take a walk. And this man, he is Livin because he sees a beware advantage and he does not even think. It's like a couple hours before tribal council, and this man reads the word beware and does not even think, despite having seen previous seasons, that maybe he should like put it down and bring it back like at a later point when he's not going to be risking his vote. But anyways, Cody gets his beware advantage and loses his vote. And so it then becomes Jesse and NECA against Justine and Noelle. And it's like, oh my God, is it going to be a tie vote?
Yo, I thought this was hidden so easily. This beware advantage, it wasn't even in the log. It was popping out of the log. I was like, what the heck? Production totally just planted this here right before tribal council to mess up the team.
The thing is, I like it that the wear advantages aren't hidden as like difficultly as idols, just because they do have like something, they do have like a twist to it. And Cody's twist was that he loses his vote unless he can get everyone to give up the beads on their bag willingly. And
Which, because it's so easy to find, it's not like, okay, Cody found it, he can go hide it somewhere else and come back to it later. It's either Cody opens it now and potentially risks something, or he hides it, not even hidden, sticks it back on the top of the log where someone else could come and walk by and get that advantage before him. So I'm like, I don't know. If it were hidden a little bit better, then Cody could have decided, okay, let me put it back. But because it was hidden on top of a log poking out, I feel like he said, he's going to have to open it because you don't want someone else to get the thing.
yeah. But I don't know, maybe it would have been a good thing if like Justine or Noelle had gotten it. Though
I would have sent Dwight over there. Since he already lost his vote, what are the rules? Would he double lose his vote?
obviously. The thing I think is so funny though is that ultimately this didn't matter because Justine and Noelle ended up not voting together anyway. And I was like, huh? So
It is. It's sort of like, okay, the whole fun beware advantage ends up not mattering. But also, it didn't necessarily matter because you could have just convinced Justine or Noelle to split their vote pre-tribal, and then you wouldn't even, like, Cody's vote wouldn't even matter. You didn't need to get all of the beads. But Cody could have messed up this plan so badly. If this beware advantage was something like we saw last season, maybe you have to wait until a challenge in order to say a phrase, or in order to do something. Maybe you needed all three teams to find their idols before you could even have the activated idol. So Cody did luck out that this was something that he had to do or was able to complete at camp. He didn't have to wait for a challenge. He didn't need the other two teams to find something to activate the idols. But at least for Cody, he regretted his decision about picking up the beware advantage right after, unlike Chanel from last season. Here, it could have been a 2-2 tie. And then I was just having Jenny flashbacks from last season. I was like, I'm so stressed.
I was so stressed too, especially because Jesse has this like brilliant plan. He's like, Cody, you're making this hat. Just like have people use the beads to help you with your hat. And like watching this whole conversation go down where like Cody's like, oh, I want to put these beads on my hat. And then Jesse like offers the beads and so does NECA. And like watching more and more people offer Cody the beads, and then it comes down to Noelle, and Noelle's like, "Oh, I'm already using my beads as a bracelet," and you're like, "What's gonna happen?" And then they don't tell us whether or not Cody successfully convinced Noelle to give him her beads until tribal council. I was like, "Wow, this is so spicy."
I thought it was the right move for Cody to tell Jesse because getting Jesse and NECA to help him out by basically peer pressuring everyone else on the tribe to give up their beads. If you're Noelle in that situation, everyone else has already given their beads. You can't be the party pooper. You can't say no. So I thought this was really great that he did tell Jesse, and then Jesse told NECA, and those three were able to tag team getting all the beads, because doing it alone, sure, maybe you could get it done. But now that you have three people on board, sure, they know about your idol, and maybe that's not good because now it's a semi public idol. But it would have been harder if you didn't have their help. And I do wonder for the other teams if it's going to be similar, like getting beads from other people's bags, because this fits Cody so well. We saw him making that hat earlier this episode, which was just perfect how it came back now again at the end of the episode. But for someone more like straight edged to get their beads, it's going to be interesting to see how other people work around this beware advantage.
I'm interested if it's like you have to have all of their beads in your possession like at the same time. Like if I'm like, "Oh, Rachel, can I like see the bead on your bag?" and you give me the bead and then I give it back. Like does that count? Cuz I did have possession of your beads, but it wasn't
I think
permanent.
no. I think like the little clue, it was saying you need all the beads because the beads make the idol. So I think you need all of them at once.
I see.
So Cody getting the beads, it matched his energy, his vibe. So it worked out perfectly. It reminds me of like Xander's butterfly line matching his vibe, Marianne's bunny rabbit line matching their energy. So I liked the bead idea. I thought it was fun. It requires skill and social capital in order to get everyone on your team to give you something in a non-suspicious way. So I liked this.
Yeah, I liked it. It was fun. I would really love to see like someone like Gabler trying to do that, but
then Gabler gets another idol. Woohoo! So it was also funny for season 45, 46. Now that they've watched 43 and they see this bead beware advantage, you can't repeat the beads, you can't repeat the beware advantage phrases. So basically in 45, 46, if anyone says anything weird at a challenge, or if anyone asks you for something that production gave you originally, that's a big no. You keep it to yourself.
people are going to get so paranoid and I'm here for it.
Yeah. So we go to tribal council. Like Alyssa said, we see that awesome flashback to Cody getting Noelle's beads, but technically we didn't really even need Cody's vote here because Justine and Noelle decided to split the vote in order to protect against the shot in the dark, which I was like, okay, this makes sense if those women presume Jesse is going to vote with them 100%. It's 3 votes going to NECA. If NECA plays the shot in the dark and it works, then NECA is probably voting Justine. Justine goes home. So in order to prevent that, Justine will vote Cody. So then it's a 1 vote on Cody. Maybe Cody goes home, or it's a revote between Cody and Justine. But I feel like when it's only a team of 5 people voting because Dwight can't vote, and you're trying to split the vote to prevent a shot in the dark, which is already a 1 in 6 chance, it's just being too fancy. It's like Chanel splitting her vote last season on Mike to prevent shot in the dark, and then Mike just really disliked her after that, and they couldn't repair their relationship because she put a vote on him. It just seems like they're trying to do too much for only a 1 in 6 shot in the dark chance.
That's my thing. Like if you knew for sure that someone had an idol, like yeah, split the vote. But like 1 in 6 chance and essentially you sent yourself home, like yeah.
Exactly. And it's under the assumption that NECA even thinks that she's going to be voted out, that she plays the shot in the dark, and then it has to work. So it's not like a 50-50 coin or an idol or something. I think in these small teams, it's just too much to try to split a vote for a shot in the dark. Wait until the merge, I think.
Yeah.
So Justine gets voted out, and I think it's going to be so awesome. I really want Cody to play this idol, but he plays the hat as an idol. He walks up to Jeff, he wears this hat idol to every tribal council, and he's like, Jeff, I want to play this idol. Takes off his hat, just like the Adam potential podium idol, and then he plays the hat for Jeff, and Jeff says, yes, this is a hidden immunity idol. Everyone gasps.
That would be so... I would love that. I want that to happen.
I know. Especially if it's at the merge and there's a jury there and everyone is just, shocked Pikachu face. I'm like, I need to see it. So Cody needs to play this hat idol. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I was thinking, actually, I was looking at the Survivor Wiki to confirm whether Noelle or Justine was the one who voted for Cody. And I realized that the title of next episode is I'll Sign the Divorce Papers. So maybe Dwight and Jesse are getting a divorce. Maybe their pineapple zone only lasted for like one episode.
Yeah, I think we saw some of that in the preview. Dwight seems sort of peeved that Jesse didn't go his way. So it does look like Trouble in Paradise. They need to go on a, I guess, one of those dating shows that helps couples that have trouble in paradise.
Yeah, they need couples counseling.
Yeah, they need Ellie there. Although Ellie doesn't do that kind of therapy work.
Well, in our state, at least, you don't have to get a separate license for couples counseling. If you have a therapy license, you can do couples counseling. So
Okay. So maybe Jesse and Dwight make the merge. Ellie's there. They can talk it out, but I don't know. I don't see that happening. I think Dwight is probably pre-merge. Jesse makes merge.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, so I'm so excited for next week. I think back to 60-minute episodes, so it'll be like a regular US Survivor episode coming up. So I'm so excited. I hope we see more from Blue since we saw Yellow go to Tribal and now Red go to Tribal. Sort of want to see Blue go to Tribal next week, so we hear more from them.
That would be nice. That would be a nice balanced way of doing things. But also, I like them, so I don't want them to go to Tribal. So
yeah, so close us out, Alyssa.
Yeah, let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments down below. Let us know whether or not you think it was a good idea for Noelle and Justine to split the vote because of Shot in the Dark. Also, let us know what you think of our idea of Cody playing his hat idol at Tribal Council and just handing his hat to Jeff Ropes. And give us any other thoughts you had about this episode. Was it good? Was it bad? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Either way, we will see you guys next week for another podcast, and we'll see you then. Bye.